going to shut that shortly, mightily.
5-second board is shown, waiting for the red lights to go on, which they do now. They go out now, and away we go then. And pretty evens up Paul Cook. It looked to me as if he made a pretty good start from the second row of the grid, trying to find a way between the two front row men.
There's been an accident.
There's been an incident at the back.
I think Kevin Denwood involved.
Okay, we'll pick up on that in a moment. That's the number 10 car with problems getting away and heavy damage to the front of the car. That's Clive Watson, one of the Cup class cars. So it is the Pennsylvania car that leads then as they go into Wilson Hairpin for the first time. Second is Paul Cook. Third, I think, was the pole position car of Jason West as they all stream through the Wilson Hairpin first time. There is Kevin Denwood.
He's lost a lot of places, but his car's not damaged, so that's one good thing, where the Clive Watson car was pretty badly damaged at the front, so there's one less of the Cup cars. We didn't have many of them to start with anyway. Great start from Mike Cutt. He was right amongst those front runners. There's Kaz Singh. Well, if there's one heavy damaged car to the front, you'd imagine there's one heavy damaged car to the back, and there's that fluid on the road that the officials and marshals are investigating, seeing if that needs attention. Denwood's still ahead of Stuart Pywell there, isn't he? So perhaps it wasn't quite as bad a start as I first thought. We'll check that at the end of the first lap, though. And here's the battle for the lead, because the M2 class car of Paul Cook all over the back of Michael Pensaval, but then it's Mike Cutt, third then. So third from 8th on the grid for Mike Cutt. Great start from him. Then Stephen Scott Dunwoody. So Jason West from pole has dropped down to 5th as the cars charge their way down to Brundle. Scott Dunwoody now, though, fighting to come through. The M1 power of Mike Cutt puts himself ahead of Paul Cook. So Cook's lost one position. And then Scott Dunwoody, he couldn't quite make it work. But it's Mike Cutt, who's the man on the move, up into second.
Yeah, as we predicted, really, because he is the lap record holder here. Mike Cutt, the driver, former Northern Sportsman Saloon Car champion a couple of times, did racing with CSCC as well. But he's been a regular in the BMW Car Club Championship for a couple of seasons, since it got underway, really. And he is the man that's going after Michael Pensaval. And these two were sort of sharing the wins. That have win a piece at Alton Park in September. Stephen Scott and Woody here is going to try and get ahead of Paul Cook. The marshals signalling to the drivers, get to the left-hand side of the circuit, keep away from the slippery side of the track, because that is where there's fluid down. And there is the 48 car, Stephen Scott and Woody, getting up to third place now at the expense of Paul Cook.
Yes, I think Paul Cook knows he hasn't got the power of these cars around him, so he's letting them go. So he's down to what is 4th position now. Rick Kerry's up to 5th, so he's made a good start, hasn't he? So he's up there into what is 5th position, because he's got ahead of Jason West at the start of this lap. Then Hugh Gurney, Graham Crowhurst, Mike Eustace, Kaz Singh. Kevin Denwood has lost the Class 6 lead to Paul Travers, so he didn't make a great start, but it wasn't quite as bad as I feared it might have been.
And there's someone, or Stuart Pywell, coming through there, but the car in problem is the number 19 car, which is Rob Lyons, and he was, looking to see where he finished race 1. He finished in 18th position in his Class 6 car. I think he was third in Class 6 in the earlier race.
And he was third currently at the beginning of that lap. See there, the top 5 pretty much together. There he is then, so Rob Lyons. Don't think he's going to be going much further, unfortunately for him. Here's Jason West, he's in 5th. Or he was at the start of the lap. He's lost that position, of course, to Rick Kerry. And has he lost another place to Hugh Gurney? I think he might have done. So Jason West, who went pretty well earlier to get 4th, he's losing out. Rick Kerry now, he gains another place. He's ahead of Paul Cook. So that's another of the M1 cars passing Paul Cook. So now it's dry. Cook can't quite compete with these more powerful machines. But he's still leading Class M2.
Yeah, he is. Rick Kerry, of course, another East Anglian driver, number 2 from Ipswich.
Is he not Ipswich Actual Repair Centre?
I believe he is, the very same. So they'll turn their way through Corham. Kerry, former British Touring Car Championship driver, moving up through the field then.
Did he not race a 1 Series in the BTCC?
I can't quite remember that, but we may be right. Over the line goes the leaders anyway. Marshall's again saying to the drivers, keep left, keep away from this fluid that has been spilt. Hopefully they won't need to keep doing that, because drivers will remember that it's there ultimately, but in the heat of battle maybe it would be easy to forget. There is Kerry in the 1 Series, so he is looking to make up a position on Stephen Scott and Woody here. On the last lap, he was about 3/4 of a second faster than Stephen Scotton Woody, the first flying lap of the race. And Michael Cutt did a 2:06.45, which is within 4/10 of his own lap record. And look at him now, because he's right with race leader Mike Pensaval.
He is. They make their way down toward Agostini. Two different eras of M3. You've got the E46 model of the leader, Pensaval, the E36 of Cutt, so slightly lighter machine, the E36. As with most cars, they've got bigger as years have gone on, haven't they, the BMW M3?
Yeah, bigger and heavier, and not necessarily, therefore, as agile, maybe. And I think Cutt is going to be really challenging Pensaval before too much longer. But they were only 0.06 of a second apart in terms of their lap times on the previous lap. Cutt the faster of the two, at 2:06.45, so they're pretty evenly matched, I would suggest. But Cutt just looks like he's got that bit more race in him today. Heading down towards Brundle and Nelson, he pulls out of the slipstream, headlamps ablaze, of course, as they turn into the left-hander. Brundle still behind Pensaval for the moment. They are getting away, though, from the scrap for third, which still has Stephen Scotton Woody ahead of it, doesn't it? Ahead of Rick Carey and Paul Cook.
Yeah, Rick Carey tried a similar move to what Cutt did, but was unsuccessful, as was Cutt. So he'll be keen to get past Scott Dunwoody, Carey, I think, and then while these two battle, try and go after them. But the gap is extending, like you say. But they make their way through then. Still Pensaval leading out of Murray's. This is the end of lap 3. In the second half of the lap, do you think Pensaval's got the advantage? And it's the first half of the lap where Cutt is quicker.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? Different parts of the circuit will suit the different cars. Up towards which as they go.
Cutt 200ths away from the lap record now.
Wow. So, and it's his own lap record as well. 2:06.09 was the mark that he set in the M1 class and overall within the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. He gets very close to the back of Pensaval now. Tries to get a better run on the exit of the corner, but no way through there. Heading down out of Wilson towards the left-hander at Palmer.
I think there's been a change behind. Rick Carey ahead of Stephen Scott Dunwoody.
Okay, I think you may be right. Just having a brief glimpse in the background there, but over the line it was Scott Dunwoody ahead, but only by 3/100ths of a second as Cutt tries to outbrake Pensaval into the Agostini hairpin, goes deep into the corner. Now that was working for people earlier on when it was wet, but Pensaval holds on there, trying to get the Cutt back on the exit. Is Mike Cutt and put the car on the inside for the left-hander for Hamilton, and there's contact between the two of them, and that sends Pensaval off the road, and Cutt gets into the lead, but not without a bit of contact.
Yes, it was getting pretty tight between the two of them. They weren't giving each other huge amounts of room. They've actually come out pretty close together. Cutt's got his hand out the cockpit there. What was he suggesting to Michael Pensaval? Yes, I don't think there's going to be too much love lost between these two after that. And Pensaval is still going after Mike Cutt now. As they've held each other up, how far behind now is Rick Carey? Can he go after these two? Well, it's still a decent gap, isn't it? But if they get together again, Rick Carey might get closer some more.
Yep, so they're turning their way now through the right-hander at Nelson. On towards the bomb hole they go, coming up to just another 12 minutes of this 20-minute race left to go. And in the first race they got 8 laps out of it, but you can't read too much of that because it was wet and there was a safety car for about a third of the race at the end. So I think we'll get more than that this time in terms of the number of laps in this race. And these two really quite a long way clear of the rest now. Well, I'll save that. Rick Carey is closing, isn't he? Well, I think Rick Carey is closing in, so it'll be interesting to see what the lap times compare like this time. Driving standards flag going out for someone. There go the two leaders. And where is Rick Carey in all of this? There is Mike Cutt heading into Rich's corner. The gap to Rick Carey, 3.24, because the lap record has gone, and it's gone to Rick Carey, 2 minutes 5.62 for the 1 Series.
And that's another driver, of course, recovering from not a great season up to now. Lap traffic is already underway, so we expected lap traffic earlier. We're going to get it this time. There is Rick Carey, their new lap record holder here at Snetterton, 2 minutes 5.62, as you say. And that is half a second quicker than what Mike Cutt managed 12 months ago and earlier in this race. Class 6, by the way, Kevin Denwood's gone back to the front. He's got ahead of Paul Travers on the most recent of laps, and he goes across the line there. And he has just broken the Class 6 lap record, has he? Breaking the lap record held by Lee Deegan.
Okay, so Lee Deegan, a long-time racer in the 750 Motor across different categories as well. So leaders, well, still not much to choose between them. Pensaval, you sense, really does want to to gain some form of revenge on Mike Cutt, and the best form of revenge would be to get back through into the lead, wouldn't it?
Let's hope that's all
that's all it is.
Yes.
But the potential spanner in the works with all of that is Rick Carey, because that was a fantastic lap time that he did, and obviously took quite a lot of time out of the two leaders, so we're falling over each other. They've not fallen over each other to quite the same extent on this lap, so it'd be interesting to see whether he's gained the sort of 3 seconds on this lap than he did on the previous one.
You wouldn't think he'd be quite that much. Well, if he did, he'd be right with them, wouldn't he? He was only 3 seconds behind at the start of the lap. Stephen Scott Dunwoody in these conditions unable to go with these three, isn't he? 6 seconds behind and only just ahead of Paul Cook. Jason West really unable to replicate the earlier pace. He's dropped to 8th. Pensacola now seems to be as close as he ever has been to Mike Cutt. They turn their way through Murray's. And perhaps Rick Carey is catching some more in the bigger engined car, the 4 litre. There's a mechanical warning flag now going out to one car, so we're trying to get some news on that. Yeah,
and that will mean that driver of that car has to come into the pits to get that issue checked over.
How about this? Mike Cutt, new lap record, 2:05.4. Rick Carey breaks it 1.8 seconds later, 2:04.02. That's 2 seconds under last year's pace.
Yeah, and looking at some action a little bit further back, that's number 64, Gareth Montgomery. He's in 19th position, one of the Class 6 drivers, but Class 6 being led by Kevin Denwood, number 7, from number 77, Paul Travers. So that's more good news for Kevin Denwood as far as the overall lead of the championship is concerned.
We've lost Stephen Scott Dunwoody.
We have, haven't we? So Stephen Scott Dunwoody, the race 1 winner, looks to be out of it. That there, though, is the number 21 car going through, which is Andy Abrams in his E46 M3, and just behind him is the number 8 car of Bill Redrop, who was on the back of the grid for race 1 and on row 14 of the grid for this one as well, and has got his car up into 22nd.
Paul Cook has absolutely thrashed his own lap record in Class M2. It was a 2:08.7 from last year, 2:06.0 today. So the lap records are coming down at quite a rate, aren't they, in the BMW car club?
Certainly very good conditions for it here today, or this afternoon at least. At Snetterton, not so much this morning. But Whitmore just goes across the line, and he is in 18th position. And then the rest of these cars making their way through. That is the Andy Abrams car then in 19th place, with Bill Redrop up to 20th now in car number 8, only just behind him in one of the 330 CIs that have their own one make competition for a little while.
There was a car stopped there. I wonder if that was Scott Dunwoody on the run down towards the Wilson hairpin. Now, if the leaders have to lap this lot, it'll get busy, won't it? And how close is Rick Carey getting to the 2 leaders, I wonder, on this, the 6th lap of the race?
Yeah, well, here's the answer as they're coming up towards the end of lap 6 now, with 7.5 minutes left to go. It was 1.5 seconds between second and third. I suspect it's a bit less than that now. Over the line they all come. Do we see any more purple on our timing screens this time? Wait for them to update. No, we don't. But Rick Carey did another 2:04 and we've got 8 tenths closer. No, not quite 8 tenths closer. 8 tenths closer to Michael Pensacola that time.
Indeed, but both Cutt and Pensacola doing personal bests as the lap times just come down and down. Real pace out there in this one. There is Rick Carey then in 3rd place, and his lap time slightly quicker than we saw in the Club Enduro race, interestingly, wasn't it? Quicker than we saw from the Rob Baker Sayat, just about. So these 3 cars pretty much together down to Agostini. They will have a 10-lap race, do we reckon here? We're on lap 7 of it, and they have got a car to lap. That's the Matt Smith BMW Z3 as they make their way down towards Hamilton. Cutt's got past him easily. Pensacola has to do a bit more of a dive bomb up the inside, which actually didn't work too badly. So perhaps Rick Carey, did he lose out a little bit there?
I'm not sure he did too much, really, did he?
No, they got away with it. I think Matt Smith knew what was going on there when the first one came through. He expected more of them, and that's what he had coming down the inside.
So all 3 of these M1 class drivers, so not getting the invitation class drivers getting mixed up with things this time. Paul Cook even in 4th place leading the M2, so Gurney 5th, number 91. Rem Cohosh 6th overall in 15, 2nd within the M2 class, and still it's Kevin Denwood leading Paul Travers in the class 6, and Cole McMillan, the best of the Cup class cars, got 5 3/4 minutes left to go, and Rick Carey now attacking Michael Pensacola for 2nd place as they go through the bomb hole.
Yeah, Pensacola's dropped away, hasn't he, on this lap from the leader, and that's allowing Rick Carey to challenge down into the Coram curve, but Michael Pensaval, by the looks of things, is going to be given a drive-through penalty, as is Jason West. So the two drivers that started on the front row of the grid appear to be... there you go, the board's being shown to them now. So Michael Pensaval and Jason West drive-through penalties.
Yeah, and that looks as if it's for practice starts on the grid by the looks of it. So that is something that's attracted the attention of the clerk of the course. They're going to get drive-through penalties, which really in a 20-minute race means that, well, that's your race over, isn't it, effectively, in terms of any serious contention for overall wins. There's Graham Crowhurst now. We didn't see much of him earlier on. He's got Jason West behind him, so he is the other of those drivers, as well as Pensaval, that's going to be called in for that drive-through penalty. So Crowhurst in 6th position in car number 15. Jason West just behind him. Niall Bradley, by the way, has made it up into 8th place in car 47 from the back of the grid after his disqualification for an infringement with the yellow flags in race 1.
And he's another of the drivers that got under the lap record, isn't he? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, I reckon. So the top 3 plus him have all got under the lap record. There's Jason West on the screen chasing Graham Crowhurst. They've got a lap Z3 now. So this is for 6th and 7th positions that we know Jason West is being given a drive-through penalty. And that's a penalty drive-through we don't see very often in 750 motor race, and I can't recall that really happening before.
No, it's unusual, but no doubt the clerk of the course was unhappy with what's gone on and has asked that penalty be given out. There we go then. Crowhurst and West then nose to tail, but West will have the penalty to serve.
Kevin Denwood, by the way, leads Class 6 by just 4 seconds, so not as dominative as earlier, ahead of Paul Travers and Stuart Pywell, which are together 2nd and 3rd within the class. Yeah,
so a good scrap going on there, but here is the scrap a bit further up the order. Well, Mike Cutt now pulling away, isn't he, from Michael Pensaval, who's got to make that stop, and they're just struggling to get past the number 42, Mark Havers, back marking car there that started on row 13 of the grid.
And that's the car that Rick Kerry runs as well, and he'll be frustrated here, won't he, behind Pensaval, who's got a penalty, but holding him up and meaning he can't go after Mike Cutt. Is Pensaval taking the penalty? He is not. I wonder if this might be a common theme as the race continues. Well, he's been given the board again, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But he hasn't come in, whereas...
That's Gareth Montgomery, who, as far as we know, hasn't got a penalty that's come in. So that's some kind of mechanical issue, one would think.
2.8 seconds, the new gap for the leader, Mike Cutt, over this battle for 2nd. Pensaval versus Cutt. Paul Cook still 4th, leading Class M2. Hugh Gurney through next, Graham Crowhurst, and then Jason West also not taking his penalty just yet. But he has got 3 laps to do it, don't they, from when the board goes out. They've had one of those laps. Big slide here. That's 37. That's Kevin Granger, isn't it? And he's in 22nd in his 3 series.
They were spectacular in race 1 for not necessarily the right reasons as well, as Kerry and Pensaval almost overlapping then as they go through the left-hander, getting alongside one another as they head into the left-hander. That's Hamilton.
Couldn't quite make it work though, could he, Rick Kerry? I thought he was going to give it a go, but he wasn't quite as robust as the move earlier that we saw for the lead, which happened at the same corner. He thought it'd be better just to back out of that and not get involved in a bit of a pushing match.
Onto the Bentley straight they go. There you can see Mike Cutt coming up to lap Kevin Granger actually, and then Kerry diving out of the slipstream this time with his car on the inside, but no, it's too far back actually to make it work, and again the perspective was somewhat deceptive, wasn't it? So we're going to get one more lap to go at the end of this one.
Indeed, so Mike Cutt looks good for victory here. 2nd position on the road very much still is disputed, and Rick Kerry again looks to the inside of Pensaval. Traffic for Cutt, but he's got a bit of time to deal with it with this gap now into Murray's. Are we going to see Pensaval peel in this time? Yes, so he does take his penalty then on the penultimate lap. So he's seen the board.
So that unleashes Rick Kerry, I suppose.
It'll be too big of a gap now, won't it? You'd think, anyway. 4 seconds. Here's Jason West. Is he going to take his penalty? He's about to be passed by Niall Bradley, but he's got his indicator on, hasn't he? So both drivers do react to the penalty, therefore. Pensaval goes back out, and he's coming out just behind Graham Crowhurst, I think. So that will put him down to... There's Crowhurst, so I think he's 5th now.
Yeah.
and Pensacola will be 6th.
Yeah, so it's really cost him dear. There's Rick Kerry then, making his way down towards Agostini with almost the time having run out, so we're on the 10th and final lap of the race. Rick Kerry pushing on, gets on the power again as they come out of Agostini, then towards the reasonably sharp left-hander at Hamilton. 0 seconds left on the clock, so Mike Cutt looking good for the victory here, and he will make it his 2nd win of the season therefore. Michael Pensacola having had 4 M1 class wins and 3 overall wins, and other overall winners this season having been Graham Crowhurst and Gary Whittaker in the opening meeting of the season at Brands Hatch. Paul Cook 2nd on both occasions there. But there's Rick Kerry just putting a lap on the number 21 car of Andy Abrams. And towards the last couple of corners they go through Nelson and the bomb hole, and Michael Cutt leading by 4 seconds or so at the beginning of this lap. It's going to be a comfortable win.
It looks that way, doesn't it? I don't think Jason West has come back out, so...
He went past the window very slowly. I don't think he did go back out into the race though.
Okay, but it's going to be Mike Cutt, as you say, to take his 2nd win of the season and get himself back in a bit of form after not the greatest of seasons, but it's not been a great race there for car number 8, has it, Bill Reddrop? Looks like his car has expired, but Mike Cutt wins by 4.4 seconds over Rick Kerry, and Paul Kirk is going to take another victory in Class M2, isn't he? This is win number 5 of the season for Cook, and he takes 3rd overall, so a good result in the overall order too for him.
Yeah, 3rd for him, and Hugh Gurney it is that takes 4th place in the number 91 member. Michael Pensacola just come back to 5th, ahead of Graham Crowhurst, I think, in the end, yes, by about 1.2 seconds. Graham Crowhurst 6th overall in number 15 and 2nd in Class M2. Niall Bradley from the back of the grid, number 47, takes 7th place, 8th in the first of the invitation class cars, number 140, Jazz Safra. 9th place to number 80, that's Mike Eustace. In 10th place, number 70, Wayne Lewis. I think Eustace and Lewis still to come through, in actual fact, to complete their races. There is the number 80 car for Eustace, and the 70 car of Wayne Lewis is a little bit further behind him.
The battle for 2nd in Class 6 is yet to be decided. Paul Travers just a couple of tenths ahead of Stuart Pywell as they started their final lap. Kevin Denwood looks good to win the class, but 2nd in Class 6 is up for grabs. Wayne Lewis hasn't come through at the end of the last lap, has he? So 3rd in class... Oh, there he is. So Wayne Lewis is
slowly
failing. Just in the background, the two Class 6 cars I saw were very close indeed. Wayne Lewis for the pit lane.
And Kevin Denwood just going past him there, and he goes up to the line now to take the check flag in what will be 12th position overall then. Kevin Denwood winning Class 6 as well. Another good day for him as far as the championship's concerned.
Here's about over 2nd, a race to the line, pretty much side by side. I think it was Paul Travers though that did hold on in the compact from the one the one series of Pywell, but that was a gap of just 800ths of a second at the flag.
Yeah, so a very good battle for 2nd place within Class 6. As far as the Cup class was concerned, Carl McMillan, I think, has already come through to win the Cup class, but sadly not too much support, and we lost at least one car very early on, didn't we, with that damage at the beginning of the race for the number 10 car. There
is a discussion going on around Mike Cutt's car. Now, is that Michael Pensacola by any chance that's gone to have a word? He came running over. Matt Suckling is there to do... could split anything up, potentially. Not sure if Matt fancies that.
He's a fine mediator. But no, we'll hopefully hear
yes, it was Pensacola that went over. So interesting perhaps to hear in a moment from Matt what they made for that down there. But we saw that contact, didn't we, in the middle of the race.
Yeah, so still one more race meeting to go for the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. That's going to be at Donington Park again in about 5 weeks' time, in middle of November, and it is going to be that meeting that will decide the season. One more race still to go here at Snetterton today. There is the Swallow Hill Homes F1000 Championship. Those cars will be out on track shortly for their 3rd and final race of the weekend, but we're ready now to go down to our reporter in the pit lane, and Matt Suckling is going to be the one that will talk to the drivers.
Thanks very much, Ian. Yep, down here with our race winner from that second BMW race, Mike Cup. Mike, that was a great race between you and Michael. You just had a quick chat with him there.
Yeah.
Nothing bad. It was kind of all sorted.
No. I mean, I come down the inside. I didn't know whether he'd seen me, but we just touched a little bit. We both carried on. I think it's just a mutual. We're okay about it. That's racing, I'm afraid. He didn't give me room. Maybe I got down the inside. You were half a card. It's one of those, isn't it?
It was a great dice though between the two of you. So there's kind of you did give space when it needs to be there.
Yeah, have to do. I don't want to go on with into the barriers and things like that. We don't want any of that, do we? It's bad enough driving at 110% trying to catch them all, but I just had a mare this morning in qualifying in the wet, and in this first race with the safety car and stuff like that. Never got a chance to really get into the rhythm this afternoon. I'm always a race day man, and I always like the second race. I can always go. I have that bit of mental thing where I just go, right, I've got to go and have a go, and that's what I've done today, and it's been absolutely fantastic.
And to be fair, when you got past, you did start to pull away a bit, so you had the pace there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know I've got the pace this year. It's just I've had so many breakdowns. I've had 4 DNFs, and it's just been one of those years. Yeah.
It has been one of those years indeed.
In general, totally, yeah. And all the best to everybody in 750 and everything for getting this together again. Because, I know it's very hard with the circumstances we're in. So thank you very much to 750 as well, yeah.
And that's your second win this year, so you can go happy, home happy this evening.
Exactly, yeah. I'm capped with that, absolutely capped. Thank you very much. Thank you all, thank you.
There we go then, Mike Hart is our winner for the BMWs. We're going to grab a word with Rick Curry as well, if we can just grab him over here. He's got his mask on, and he can come and join us in this little Parc Fermé area after the race. Well done, Rick, second place in that race, and you definitely had the speed towards the end. I think you did the best of anyone in that race.
Oh, really, yeah. It was. I was disappointed with the first lap because I got boxed in and couldn't do anything about it. Mike managed to go around the outside, and I was a long way back, so it was great. It was a great drive through, and competing with the front cars was excellent.
And I think by the time we got into that race, as you said, a few mistakes towards the beginning, the top two, and maybe just got away, but you tried your best to catch them up.
Yeah, I actually when I caught up to Pentonville, all three of them were together, but because he was fighting me off, that let Cutsy get away, and I don't think I would have catched him, but I'd have been nice to have been a little bit closer, so I could have had a bit of a dice with him really, but that was great fun.
And not a bad season for you in general. We've got 2 more races to come at Silverstone as well.
Yeah, I've not had a particularly good season because I blew an engine at Alton Park, so I've only had one finish before today. So last season was a lot better for us, but it was good fun. Donington I think is the last race. I think we've got in a few weeks. Whether I do that or not after buying the engine at this year, I don't know. But it was after I've had a race like that, I suppose it is a little bit tempting.
You still enjoy the 1 Series though?
Yeah, it's good. It's finally got to where we want to get it. It's now getting there. We didn't have a wet setup in qualifying. We got a better wet setup in the first race and managed to drive through. So, to be honest, it's always been a bit challenging, a little bit different, that car, but it's finally starting to pay off in the end.
Well, if you do the final 2 races at Donington, good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
There we go then, Rick Curry, who finishes there in second place. He had a great race there and one of the best laps of the weekend as well in the BMWs. But it's Mike Hart who takes the final win in the BMWs here at Snetterton. We've got one more race to look forward to, and it comes from the Swallow Hill Homes F1000 Championship.